Welcome back to Disturbing the Priest. I am joined here by the band Nemesis from Houston. How's it going, guys?
Going pretty fucking good. How about you, brother?
It's going all right. Kind of a crazy day, but I'm glad we got to make this happen. I've been a fan of you guys for a while. I've been following the Houston scene, and it's just like really awesome to see so many great thrash metal bands like coming up in that scene. And you guys are one of the best, in my opinion. So it's great to talk to you. And the new single is just absolutely killer. Randy Burns is a friend of the podcast. He's worked with you guys, and there's a lot to get into, but like in general, like, how's it going with Nemesis? How are things?
It's great. Right now, we are working on the sophomore album, and we have about, I'd say, half the album recorded right there. Did we cut out for a second? Sorry, it looked like
No,
we
you're
cut.
good.
Okay. All right. Anyways, we have about half the songs all recorded and done. It's been a fucking dream working with Randy Burns. I mean, you look at the Megadeths and the Nuclear Assaults and all that stuff, and you're like, holy shit, I'm working with that guy. So yeah, that's really fun to get on the phone with him and shoot the shit about. Oh, I want a little more reverb, or I want a little this, I want a little that. So that's been really fun. But yeah, working on the second album. We have a really kick-ass show coming up in December with Accept. So really excited for that.
Awesome. How has the Houston scene been treating you guys as a band?
It's been real fun. I mean, we started playing back in 2023, I believe, down in the Houston scene as Nemesis. And I mean, all the people are super kind, and you get to play with a bunch of other local bands that are in the same mindset. So it's a blast down here.
Awesome. How do you like, I'm looking at all the bands here and like their sound. How do you feel like the scene itself has influenced the band's like sound and identity? Has it?
I feel like it's gone like the mainstream scene, I guess, has gone more hardcore. And that definitely influences a lot of bands to kind of like skew more hardcore just to kind of get those listens or that audience to kind of tune in. Same with punk, I would say it kind of tends to skew one or the other. Thrash is kind of niche. I feel like it's not as mainstream in that regard. Yeah, in at least the Houston scene that I've seen.
There's so many damn genres of music that people play in Houston, so it's pretty hard to, get everybody to listen to the same thing.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of crossover. Even here in like New England, it's like
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's crazy to see like doom metal play with like ska and thrash and like death metal all in like one lineup. It's like what the fuck? Like
Hey,
this would never happen in the 80s.
it's a good time. We usually have some fucking food trucks out there too, so I mean, it's a blast.
Awesome.
It's cool when the band, or the bill is that dynamic, have a bunch of different kinds of artists on it.
Yeah. Get your money's worth.
Hell yeah, man. And it's like so many of these genres have like all these like crossover fans too. It's like growing up now is streaming. It's like everyone's kind of into everything now. It's not like, oh, you're in with that, crowd. Oh, you're in with that crowd. It's like, no, I kind of fuck with everything. So it's really cool to see that now in like metal and everything. And Houston, I heard, like you're saying, has a lot of that as well. Now, I'm not sure if like this is true. The band, I'm not sure if this was a mistake or something. It was formed in 2013 or was it
It was 2020.
2022?
It was 2022 is when I released the demo with this fella right here. And then these two guys joined on later in 2023. That's when we officially formed. Where did you see that by chance? Because I might need to fix that.
Yeah, I saw it on. Let you know where I saw that because I saw that. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's like, over 10 years. It's like, did you guys start in like second grade
No,
or
no,
something?
no.
And then,
That'd be awesome.
That'd be before any of us started.
yeah.
So yeah, no, it was 2022 is when again I met Alex, our drummer, and we put out that little ceasefire demo, and that came out on the first album as an actual song. And then, like I said, in 2023, which is when the album came out, and these two folks were on the album, and we started playing live in 2023.
Cool. Awesome. So, like, how did you recruit everybody? Like, how did everyone officially meet?
Oh Lord. So Alex, I met through through Instagram through my old bass player at the time. And then my old bass player at the time got in contact with Reagan because he was going to be playing guitar actually, and then that old bass player phased out, and then we were like, hey, we're a three-piece, but we still would love to have an extra guitar. So he swapped to bass, and then we looked for a guitar, and then we found him on Instagram as well. So after that little shenanigans, yeah, lots of Instagram. Yeah, me and Alex were in high school as well. So I mean, that
Right.
too.
Cool. So, how do you remember writing those like early demos? Like, what was that like? What was your writing process for that?
I mean, I had been playing guitar since about seventh or eighth grade. And that was 2022. So that was, I'm trying to think of what year that was, or what high school year I was in there. At that point, I had about an album's worth of songs already done, and Ceasefire was one of them. And I ended up about chopping half that album, and then that half joined in with the newer half, which was with these guys, which became False Reality, which is the first album. So I have some older riffs and songs that were completely done. Like Ceasefire, that song was pretty much done when we brought it to, whenever I met Alex. And so, we just kind of refined it. He added, his flair to it. And then that was that. And then Escape was already done. Captive Hell was already done. Again, there was minor changes in the, in the recording process. And, oh, this could sound good to hear. Hey, Ezra, you're fucking crazy at guitar. Throw a lick in real quick, something like that. So other than that half, I mean, a lot of the songs just kind of popped up as we were jamming. So like I'd be like, oh, here's this riff. He'd throw a riff in, and then bam, it would just kind of mold together. That we don't really have a set way to write the songs necessarily. It's more of just we kind of let them happen and then tweak if we feel like they need some tweaking.
Cool. So how old do you feel like is like the oldest riff on any of your material?
Probably Aggressor, which is our most popular song we have right now. It's a very simple riff. It's just very simple. Very, like Kill 'Em All or Killing Is My Business, kind of old school thrash, proto thrash, that kind of thing. But that was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old at this point now, and the album's only about 2 years old. So I had that riff maybe halfway from the point of starting guitar to releasing the album, because I've been playing for about 6 years now, and I probably wrote that riff like a year or two into playing guitar, and then a year or two after that's when the album released. So
cool. Well, that happens with a lot of bands coming up where they're all like, just like, hey, I wrote this in a bedroom like 5 years ago. Let's just throw this in. Yeah. So what's cool about like, new material and like a new record is like, okay, I can actually see the full band writing together now. Mm-hmm. And, this new record, release being put out, it must be a lot different than the first one. Like, how do you compare the material on each album?
So here, I'll let Ezra or one of y'all, do you want to?
I think of like the second album kind of as like a more dynamic version of the first. I think some parts of it are heavier than stuff we've done, and a lot of parts of it are definitely softer than stuff we've done. But I feel like it's more broad. Like, the songs are a lot more different from each other. Yeah, it's just been a culmination of ideas. Yeah,
I feel like the grown-up
slightly more mature.
It was fun because you're talking about, like riffs that you had from a couple of years ago, and in some of these second album songs, I had some riffs that I didn't get to use on the first album, and we're like, oh, for this one part, this isn't like the perfect. It's like, oh, we can kind of call it back to that. So on the new record, you will hear what you loved on the first one, and you'll hear, I feel like, even more expanded take on everything you kind of heard in the first one. I mean, when I'm talking dynamics coming to distorted guitar and clean guitar, dynamics as, fast or slow, just all of the dynamics I feel like are much more pronounced, yeah, in these newer songs versus the first one. Obviously, we still love playing the first songs and enjoy them, and I hope everybody does as well. But definitely think that these are a lot more like they were saying, adult. Like, it feels like they're more grown up.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Now, are some of these elements with like dynamics and everything, was it like a conscious effort? Do you feel it was more of like a natural evolution or like a bit of both?
I think it's become a conscious effort.
Yeah.
It was kind of a natural.
It was more natural at first, for sure. Because there's some parts we had where, normally on a slower clean or on a clean guitar part, you kind of bring it down and slow it down. But on some of these, we had it kind of keep up tempo and go to clean and really drag out. And it in my opinion, sounds pretty cool because the dynamic from going from to keeping that same drum beat to keep the backbone, but then having the guitar doing something pretty technical with some very beautiful melodies over the head of them. Again, you'll hear that on the album. I'm very excited for you and everybody else to get their hands on it. We're working hard to get that out. Hopefully by the end of the year, that's the plan.
Yeah, awesome. And are you thinking of any like physical releases for this new record? Are we talking like CDs, vinyls, tapes? Like, what's
Yeah.
that whole looking like?
So very much CDs. We make all of our CDs. They're homemade, made with live. But when it comes to vinyls, we just recently did test out. We're gonna be testing out the music quality on it here in a second. We got one shipped to us. It's coming in the mail because we did a record deal for our first album somewhat. It was more of a cut record. In the contract, it said vinyl. That's a whole deal. Don't really care. It was really cheap to get it started up. And again, we had it on a record format. But anyways, that was very spotty quality when you actually put it on your record player and put it on. I was like, it just wasn't, we weren't happy with it. So we kind of held off on that, only worried about CDs for the first album. But for the second album, like I said, we did just recently do a test press of the False Reality vinyl, and we should be testing, and it is vinyl this time. Yay.
Yeah.
And we'll be testing it probably in a couple days. And from seeing it and from seeing other people's that have got it from the same company, I believe it'll be good. So for this second album, we will be doing CDs for sure, obviously, because we did that for the first. And then we'll definitely be trying to do vinyl. Cassettes, that's more up in the air. I would love to. But just keeping, the massive amount of CD stock, and if we're going to be having vinyl with us too, I feel like those get bought or asked for more frequently than cassette might. I mean, maybe at these local people really do love cassette, and I love that people love cassette. But I mean, the quality, whenever it comes to, this one's a little faster than the other one, or this one's a little slower, it's more of a collector's item than an actual, like, I'm going to go listen to this. Because I listen to vinyls, I'll listen to CDs. Don't know the last time I've listened to a cassette. But it's definitely something we're going to try to get out with the second album.
Right. And, you mentioned like, maybe some like deals and being signed and stuff. And it's crazy now because bands don't really need labels necessarily. Like they definitely help, but you can kind of just DIY the whole thing now with social media, and it's easy to get your music out there. What's your opinion on like trying to get a label and get signed? Do you feel like that would like really help you guys? Do you like what you're doing now? Like what's that future look like for you?
I mean, we've kind of just done it the DIY version
So far.
It's not something that we're completely like against,
not by any means.
But it's kind of one of those things that's like, give me a deal that you can do it better than we can. Like a lot of times, it's way over expensive for something that's
you could be
maybe 25% more than what we're doing right now. It's like, yeah. I mean, it would be better for stuff like music videos, and like general, like stuff that you need kind of an advanced budget for. But, if we're all employed, if we kind of get our savings together, we can make that stuff happen too. So
I'd say the bigger thing that we want to worry about instead of like a record deal would be more of a promoter. Because I feel like in today's day and age, promoters are what really help you move between events and venues and stuff like that. As much as a record deal could help. If it's only a record deal, it's only going to get you so far, and if it's, hey, y'all need to sell this many records, and God forbid, you don't sell a record, then you're kind of in the hole a couple bucks, and that's not always fun either.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree, man. It's like, a promoter would be great. It's crazy because I know some bands who like started up at the same time, got signed, and were completely fucked over. Like there's so many shitty record deals.
You hear about that so much. And I mean, especially in this year, I mean, back in the 80s, you could throw 30 grand at somebody and make a good record. And it's because it's the only people in the block who knows how to play or get high enough to play. But, nowadays I feel like they're not really throwing 30 grand at you to record a record, or they're not, it's like, hey, you can really focus on this record and not have to worry about your life or your job at all. We'll take care of you. That doesn't really happen anymore. And as much as that would be amazing, there's times have changed, and you got to work with it.
Right. And you guys have killer material. I'm really excited to see like this new record, how it does, and just hear it. Randy Burns being included in the production is just so killer. and it was cool talking to him. And he did shout you guys out when I had
Yeah,
him on,
yeah.
which was cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of those guys. So what was that whole thing of like wanting to get him on? Like, whose idea was that? Was it like, fuck it, let's like, he's a legendary guy and he's like booking. So
So our whole process for recording is very, I mean, it might be pretty damn common now. I mean, especially for like indie artists and stuff like that. But for more metal artists, especially bigger acts, I know they're going into studios and stuff like that. Our studio is right here. We record all of the guitar tracks, we reamp them, we send them off to our engineer. His name is Steve Simpson. He's the one who got us actually in touch with Randy Burns, which was awesome. And Randy really ended up liking the stuff. He was like, yeah, no, let's do it. So we did a couple songs with him, and then we're doing this album with him. Anyways, but when it goes back to the whole recording process, we have like our budget is like essentially it's free. Studio time for us is free. Whenever it comes to vocals, whenever it comes to guitar, when it comes to bass, backing vocals, pretty much everything except for drums, because drums, God, I wish I had the money to get those mics, but you have to have a sound treated room. You got to have $1,500 minimum worth of mics. You got to have a little thing, a little box for all the cables to go into to go out to your computer, and that we let Steve Simpson deal with that. That's his job. So he'll go down and he'll record the drums, and we'll get the drum track, and then we'll record over that. Then we send it off to Steve. He does a last little check, and then that goes to Randy. And I think the decision, I mean, for working with him was pretty damn clear for all of us. As soon as, we heard that was an option for us, is because, I mean, he's fucking legendary, like you were saying. He's done
pretty solid resume.
Fucking great. And it's like, dude, if we could be part of that, that would be really cool, if for better or for worse, being able to work with him. I hope he enjoys working on it as much as we enjoy working with him. But it seems like he does. He got us our Hell's Last Kiss thing a day early, so that was fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Shout out Randy Burns. You were saying you like record everything like just yourselves, which is cool. Do you use Pro Tools?
Yes, sir. We use Pro Tools, and the reason why is we tried using a free software called Cakewalk. You might have heard of it. That's the entire first album. So funny little story. Oh my God, I hate talking about the story because I just have flashbacks from sitting in front of the computer for hours. So for the first album, we recorded everything through there and sent it off to Steve. And we were having these really weird issues where, like, say it was, 1, 2, 3, 4, you'd have the grid. And the drums, which he sent to us, were perfect, right on the grid. But ours would start slightly forward. So, I mean, you know what that does. It basically sets the entire fucking track off by a lot once you get further down in the track. That just doesn't work. Doesn't sound good. It sounds like the band's on 2 different metronomes. And then what I had to do was painstakingly take each instrument and vocal track and just try to find the fucking pocket. And then I'd have to go through and click, make sure all the parts of the song sound like they were still aligned. And because of using Cakewalk and having to just sit there in front of the computer for every song on the first album for hours, for each one, for each track.
Because of the way Cakewalk exported.
Yes, it was just atrocious. I would not recommend that one. Yeah, unless you're recording the entire project in there and everything has that delay, I would not recommend trying to export clips and send it to people using Pro Tools. But yeah, long story short, after that mind fuck of a time, we moved over to Pro Tools, which is what Steve uses, which is, I believe, what Randy's using. If he's not using,
I believe he said Pro Tools. Yeah.
And we haven't had any issues between our files, like moving over and all that good stuff. So
it's industry standard, so it's cool to use shit like that.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass to learn the program, but kind of learned it on the tail end of that album. And for this album, recording everything's been pretty simple. So, I mean, I'm not knowledgeable by any means on mixing or mastering inside of it. Obviously, that's why we pay people like Randy and people like that to do that for us. But I know how to press the R button and how to get the recording going. So that's the part we do.
Yeah. Did you actually put False Reality together in 3 months? Like, what is that about? Is that real?
Yeah. So that album got shit out, recording wise, shit out really quick. So, like I said, about half those songs were done. So that was really nice. They just had to kind of, polish up on them. And at that point, they knew them because we were playing a lot at that point. But yeah, no, that album got recorded, in my opinion, a little too fucking fast. I mean, it came out how it came out. And you always look at your babies like, oh, I could have sculpted you a little better, that kind of bullshit. But I'm happy now with how it is, but that especially because we were working in two different programs. It was like a month and a half in Cakewalk and a month and a half in Pro Tools.
Damn, really?
That was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Also like a summer too, and no one had jobs.
Yeah, it was a summer. Nobody was employed at that point. We all were just crashing at my parents' place. And yeah.
That's what a transition. That's fucking crazy. I'm glad it came out. To call it shat out, I guess, does make a little more sense now hearing that. Uh, that's crazy. Now, how soon did you start working on new material after putting out that record?
So we've been wanting to get the second album out within this year since the beginning of finishing that last album. And we had even, because we normally release our plan is to release about 3 singles for the album. And, that's what we did on the first album. Cool. And the thing with that was once we kind of got into the process of getting into the music and playing live shows and trying to balance that, also having full-time jobs and being like, hey, y'all, let's save up for a fucking house and move. Because, again, we were all crashing at my parents' place at that point, and now we're in our own home. Yay! But it was
life stuff kind of.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of bands will take 2 to 4, even 5 years between their later albums and stuff like that. We really didn't plan on getting it out this year, but like Eternally Lost. I mean, I'm lost on if that's going to go on the second album or not, because that was kind of almost a bonus track.
In between.
It was an in between. I honestly think that would be, again, that was one of the first singles we put out for that. And that song was done. How soon after the first album would you say?
Pretty soon after the first album. Like, professionally, we were trying to work on like promoting the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So we were playing a lot of shows during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were working on like new material like right after.
Because I was gonna say the second album, we have like we have a really long song on the second album, and that song has been done for at least like a year or two. Like we've had some of these done for a while, and it's been more of like editing, changing.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they're still like we still find stuff to tweak on them after this. I don't know.
But anyways, we were really focused, especially with getting to California and playing the whiskey and doing that little fun stint on the West Coast.
How was that?
Oh man, that was a fucking blast. We got invited to some little rooftop party called. They were doing this little Total Thrash documentary, viewing party for it. They had the Violence guys there, the Fueled by Fire, Cryptic Slaughter. They had all those guys up on the fucking rooftop, and we were just chilling watching this German thrash documentary on Sunset Strip with the fucking dudes. It felt like we were in that bitch right there. So it was a really cool time. And then the rest of California, we hung out with our friends from Diabology, really good dudes. Awesome. Their drummer Matt actually recently had left. He's playing in Hyrax now. So congratulations, Matt.
Shout out, Matt.
But yeah, California was a great time. We definitely plan on going back within probably about 1 to 2 years, getting back out West Coast. We definitely need to get out East Coast. We haven't really got to get out there yet.
Nobody does, man. It fucking sucks. Like,
really?
I'm here in Boston. Nobody comes out here.
Yeah.
I was in LA, and I got to see bands like Vexum, Mortalis,
nice.
Even Labyrinth came through. I got to see them. And yeah, it's like I talked to all these bands and they're like, yeah, I don't think we've ever even touched Massachusetts. And it's like, that's it's whatever. It's hard because promoters here are very rare.
Really?
There's a lot in Worcester is like the real metal scene in Massachusetts. It's like a city south of Boston, and like some killer acts come through there. The Palladium is like a famous venue. Death Angel played recently, and I think Void came through recently, which was like the first like fourth wave of thrash metal band to like but to see like an actual fourth wave of thrash band come through is like holy fuck,
Yeah.
So it is cool. So we'd love to have you guys for sure, because killer stuff.
We'd love to get East Coast, North, all that good stuff. I mean, again, we really haven't had the opportunity necessarily as of right now, but since we've just gotten settled, we're about to put out the second album. There's probably gonna be lots of road work here in a bit.
Yeah, Do you think you'll do it like per leg or just one big run? I
It,
know maybe you haven't even figured that out yet,
it
but
really just depends on how things line up. You know, if we're planning stuff for, summertime next year, end of the year next year, trying to get, something kind of sewn together, it'll really just depend on kind of who's available, what, where, what time, that kind of thing. So whenever we get, updates on that stuff, obviously we will be putting that out there on our socials, and everybody will
awesome.
make sure to be known, that it's out, go look at it. You can read the dates.
Well, speaking of live, have you guys thought about putting it like any live singles out, any live EPs, albums? I've heard a few of the bootlegs on YouTube, just absolute killer stuff from you guys.
Thank
Like
you.
just such a great live band.
Thank you so much.
So it'd be cool to get a professional recording if it's, on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever.
That is something that we could definitely have on the foreseeable future. It's just more of like with some of these venues we play at, especially locally, it's pretty impossible to get the sound out the board there. So I mean, because they just kind of have the vocals going through the PA and everything
Right.
timed on stage. But I would assume, I mean, if we're going to be playing live for the foreseeable future, at some point in the near future, we will be like, hey, here's a USB. Please, we see you have the capabilities, record this. So we'll see, honestly, depending on if we can get in touch with the sound guy for this December show, we might be able to have them record out that board there.
Accept one.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I'd love to hear it because the YouTube bootlegs are awesome. But like, of course, it's just like a wall of sound at the end of the day, and it just sounds awful.
It's the iPhone or
yeah. Or the bass just drowns everything out. It just sounds fucking so shitty. Now I love hearing the influences on the band's music, and I can hear so many in like all the instruments. I love if one at a time, if you guys can just tell me like what your favorite thrash metal record is, I'd love to know.
One record, shit. So hard, man. I mean, we're mostly influenced by like a lot of like the 80s thrash bands. It's probably pretty evident. Like, we like all our Testaments, Megadeth, and then some of the smaller guys too, like Forbidden, kind of some of
I love Forbidden.
B tier popularity wise. A lot of the bands like that. A lot of the more technical side of things, I think. Like, that's why I bring up bands like Testament. We're really into that kind of stuff. And
an album. Does anybody have an album?
One album. That's a definitive album.
I mean, By Inheritance is a good one.
One of the most underrated thrash metal records of all time. Seriously.
Good one.
Excellent record.
Between that one and Twisted into Form,
even So Far So Good.
So Far So Good So What is such a raw album too. A lot of people kind of glaze over that one. I think it's so fucking raw. I love that album.
I see where you guys get the rawness in your music. So Far So Good So What. If there's any Megadeth record where I hear that influence on you guys, it's that one for sure.
Love that record. Absolutely a gem, a diamond in the rough from all their other stuff, because they have like Risk is more popular than that shit. I swear. Like how?
Yeah, I know, right? I know, and they never like play anything really off that. That's a whole thing. Their management is it's a little messy right now, but yeah,
we'll bring it down the line. Twisted into Form, By Inheritance.
I'll say a weird one. I'll say Time Is Up by Havoc.
Nice.
Okay. New World Order.
There we go. There's
hell yeah. That's awesome. That's great to hear, man. And I can hear those for sure. Now, of course, you guys are in like the fourth wave of thrash metal, as it's being called, and it's kind of like the era of EPs. It seems like all these bands. It's like, with the demand of social media, there's all these bands. We're just going to put out EPs. It's just hard to compete with albums. It takes out too much time. And it seems like you guys are going down that album route instead of the EP. Have you thought about, was that ever a discussion within you guys, like just putting out EPs? What made you want to just commit to records?
So originally, Ceasefire and 3 other songs were going to be on an EP. We were going to have one EP. That was going to be our, instead of the first album coming out, it was going to be an EP that came out. I don't know. Everybody does EPs now, man. Like, I like a good album. I like a good hunk of fucking meat to sink my teeth into whenever I'm putting something on. I feel like there's a different type of experience that you get with an album versus an EP. And originally, again, I was more on the side of that. Like you were saying, takes more time, takes more effort. But I think that kind of shows something. We're willing to put in the the time and the effort to give somebody a more full product at the end of the day, so they have more to play around with in their headphones. It's definitely more of a old school way of doing things, but I mean, as much as I love social media, I mean, everything, whenever it comes to music, I wish it was, the old school way. You got to just play the music good and then it happened for you, that kind of thing. But that's not how it works. And I feel like with albums and being able to put out an album, play for a good year or two, and then really get back in the studio and then get out another full thought provoking, all the way done piece of music from top to bottom, then you can go back out for another year or two. So for instance, we dropped False Reality 2023, got out for a couple of years, go back to the studio, get the second one out, go out for maybe a year extra, the second one, and then same thing, just rinse and repeat. If we ever have 4 songs that don't feel like they belong on an album, which I think would be kind of rare, maybe we would do an EP. And I have no issue with people doing EPs. Again, that's just not, I feel like, our thing. We just like doing full albums from top to bottom.
I feel like we try to get a little bit of both with like the kind of singles we do, or at least the spacing where you kind of get something, give the people something to chew on, I guess, while we're still, cooking up the album. So you're not completely in a drought, while we're putting this, opus together or whatever. I don't know. I feel like we try to balance it in order. New attention spans and old.
On what he's saying on that, we kind of, if you look at the way we release things, technically almost kind of we are releasing like we're doing EPs. We're just releasing 3 extra songs. So essentially, let's just say an album 7 to 8 songs, and we released 3 songs as a single. Those 3 songs get a hop on the backside of the album, and then all the new songs go on the front side, and then bam, there's the record. You got, consistent music releases up until the album, and then you get 4 songs being an EP worth at the album, but then you have a full album's worth, including those singles, like you were saying, not keeping it desolate, dry throughout the year.
Right. Yeah, like I agree, man, and it's kind of like a lost art nowadays. And just to like spend all that money on a physical release just for like 4 tracks. I don't know. It's like, for me, I like to like soak in the sound of the band and the record. Because an EP, it's like, if it's killer, it's like you don't want it to end.
No, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, you have those averaging probably about 15 to 25 minutes whenever your album will average like 30 to an hour. I mean, albums can go anywhere based on time. I mean, shit. But like I was saying, with an EP, I just feel like there's just, I mean, it's there, but it's not the full chunk. You're not getting the meat and the potatoes. You're only getting the potatoes.
I feel like, yeah, right. And, I feel like it's so hard as like a fan of some of these bands, because it seems like a lot of thrash metal bands either put out a record that like an EP that's way too short or like way too long. Like a 3-disc LP too is like ridiculous.
And the thing is too, is it's not like, what I've noticed personally, it's not like those bands who are doing EPs are even putting out albums on top of the EPs. It's
right.
Like it's just EPs and then single and then EPs. It's like, okay, well, where are we going with this? Like, where's the culmination, of because, you have your first single that a band releases, then possibly an EP. And then if it goes to like you would expect, again, just to get like a full product, even if it includes the EP. But again, it's just not what a lot of people do. I understand it from a financial standpoint. I mean, it's a lot cheaper to do 4 songs versus 8 songs. It is. It's half the damn price. So, I mean, that might be a lot of people's
like it's fair. It is fair. Like look at Creeping Death EP, for example. It's like, I think that's a great example of this. And it's like, you buy a CD of the EP, and I have like 3 EPs by this one band that's never put out a record, and then you're like just spinning each. It's like every 20 minutes I'm putting a new CD, and it's like, I wish you just combined all these to make one record, down the line. But I see why people do it. And it makes a lot of sense to just put out EPs.
No, totally. I wasn't bashing EPs. I was just saying we like albums. That's
for sure. Yeah. And like, as well as I do understand it as well. But as a fan, I have to admit, I do love the full releases.
Well, yeah, you look back again on at least main releases in your brain, from our brains at least. Bands were putting out big albums back then. It was a couple year drop. You'd get your big fat song list, and then they go on tour with that, and then rinse and repeat. So I definitely,
and I'm glad you guys are carrying on that tradition. I do like That's what I really do like about you guys, because you have a very fresh sound, but like you still have old school shit in there too that like helps your new sound. It seems like a new step instead of just we're bringing 80s thrash back and that's it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. As much as those guys have helped the scene, that whole kind of subgenre of guy in the scene, we're bringing it back. It does kind of also hurt it because it's like you can only go so far inside of that, genre of being 80s specifically. You have to allow room for growth.
Yeah. And speaking of that, do you guys have pressure from doing like TikTok at all? Because those two go very hand in hand. If you haven't noticed, on Reels, TikTok, I know a lot of bands in this fourth wave have like a lot of pressure of like getting on that.
So as much as you see it help,
we tried it once.
We tried it once and it worked way too well and we deleted it. No,
it's like guess our drummer.
No. Anyways, so I mean, we definitely can grow. I mean, especially since we're in our own house now, we could be a little more loud in our own house, maybe on social media. But I mean, whenever it comes to doing stuff like that, as much as again, it does help the people out that do it. I would much rather kind of the focus of Nemesis being the music, not necessarily the larger than life personality or this, that, or the other. Or being goofy. I want it to be the music. That's why we are all doing this in the first place, is because of the music. So,
and it works. Like I look at you guys, I look at Void, and it's like, wow, you don't really need to like be spinning around on TikTok and like doing like crawling around the room. Like you can just put out good material, And I think a lot of bands coming up need to like have kind of realize that like the music speaks for itself,
Yeah, no, totally. I feel like a lot of people. I mean, from all ages or whatever you may say, like genres, could I'm losing my train of thought. Could definitely use. What were you saying a second ago?
That is, but
I had something and then I just completely fucking lost it. All right, well we lost it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I got it now. I got it. All right. So
they're buffering.
Yeah. I was just loading. So yeah. Some brain damage there. Whenever it comes to bands, with the bringing the 80s back or this, that, or the other, I feel like a lot of bands, especially newer bands or just bands that are emerging, very, very, very heavily focus on like a certain gimmick. And to me, that's great. Lean into that. But it has to go somewhere past that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like you'll get stuck doing the same thing, talking about the same stuff, looking the exact same. And again, that's their thing, and they everybody does it well, I feel like, but you can kind of trap yourself whenever you almost like dive headfirst into just we're this or we're that, like we're labeling ourselves as hardcore or thrash or this or that. I don't,
if you're like a heavily like satanic band,
sure, that's been done a million times, A, but B, like you can have satanic imagery and play that into your music really cool, but do it in a way that hasn't been done before. That it's interesting to me because everybody is always like, "Hail Satan," and you're like, I've heard that like every other fucking show this week tonight. So
yeah, and it's like also like you have to love it too. Because
it's fun.
Yeah, when you're 35, you're going to be like, fuck, why the fuck have we been dressing like Vikings for the past like 15 years? This is bullshit. It's like you have to be into it, because some of it seems a little forced, but again, it's like everything. It's even the TikTok stuff. If the band is just into it and it's just always been a thing and it's not like we got to do it to like get exposure and like really get ourselves out there, then I guess it kind of shows. But I do see some bands like kind of forcing it. And it's like, damn, if you guys took that time to like write a riff or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you feel like in general, social media, like not even TikToks or Instagram, but do you feel like social media as a whole is like hurting or helping the underground metal scene?
I think it's hurting and helping.
I was going to say a bit of both. I mean, you, for instance, probably wouldn't know about us if let's zoom in. If social media, didn't exist.
Right.
But also kind of like you were saying, people are becoming more of the gimmick than the music. So, I mean, again, help and hurt. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to meet half my damn band if it weren't for social media. So there's another tick for social media for winning. I don't know, man. It's I'd say it's back and forth. I mean, there's there's definitely irreparable damage that has been done to the metal scene as a whole, just from TikTok, and I mean the world as a whole from TikTok. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'd say a solid 50-50. I'm just gonna, yeah, I don't know honestly.
I mean, I think of it kind of the same way I do streaming, when like it's so oversaturated that I think people might have trouble finding stuff that they
Sure.
really like occasionally. But then on the other hand, it's the only way we've been able to get out there to people from states where we've never played.
Whole countries.
So,
Yeah.
internationally.
Like we have these two badass dudes from Germany named Norbert and Christoph who printed us like a little, it's like the size of a GameCube CD. It's like this big. And it was just like it was like a demo little track. I think we have them somewhere in the little merch closet thing. But yeah, no, I mean, they wouldn't have had any fucking clue who we were or heard of us or came up to us and been like Nemesis. And we were like, how the fuck do you know us from Germany? Oh, well, we found you on this. Well, there you go. So I mean, I'd say overall it's probably a net positive because you can't take it away. It's not going away. So I would just try to look at it in a positive light. So
Embrace it, yeah.
Well, that was like a big issue with like the whole Bay Area stuff. Like everyone was desperate to get their hands on something new because it was so hard to.
yeah,
Now we're at the other end of the spectrum where there's almost like too much
yeah,
to go through, but it does help. Like, now I know about thrash metal bands and like, there's some like really fucking cool ones all over the world now. And it's just cool to see. And like streaming, you can discover them. And even like nations that like, it's crazy that they would even put any metal out, you can discover now. It's really, really awesome. Now, I love the fourth wave of thrash that you guys are a part of, and this movement, I guess, or wave, I think is a better term. What is your opinion about the fellow bands you guys are coming up with?
I like them. I mean, it's a fun time to hang out, drink a little beer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I just we're I know a lot of the dudes from all the other bands, locally, not locally. The Void guys, they're all very fucking chill.
Right.
Good time to hang out, good people. I really enjoy playing on the same bills as those all the bands that are kind of in this like cape, I guess you're like under the same fourth way, yeah, umbrella. But yeah, no, I mean, as soon as we can hopefully get on the road with some more of them soon, I mean, all ships rise at the same time with the rising tides. So I mean, the more the better, I guess.
Well, it just seems so chill. It's like all these like there's been so many band rivalries in thrash, but it seems like it's maybe some like scene beef and stuff, but like
there's things and there's people. You're always gonna find a bad apple in a group, but I mean, what are you gonna do about it? There's not much you can do about it besides keep doing you and enjoying the people who are actually good people and have the best head on their shoulders possible.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been great talking to you guys, and this was so awesome to talk about the music of the band. And what's the best way for just like people to stay updated?
Instagram, we are extremely frequent. Facebook is a pretty good way as well. Just the socials. We keep everything updated on there.
Awesome. And if there's anything I missed, like what's the general future of you guys look like?
Second album, get on the road, brother.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Is there a working title? Has there been a title released yet?
No, we have not released the title because we are still working on the title. We usually
okay.
I mean, with False Reality, we fleshed that whole out, and then we are kind of like, what song kind of encapsulates the album the best? And then, cool, that sounds like a title track, boom, album. So once we have everything, fleshed out and all that stuff, and that'll get more figured out. But right now, I'm just worried about putting fingers to strings and getting it recorded.
Hell yeah! So it's really just like let's just find the track that best represents the record, and then that's the album name.
Letting the music do its thing versus trying to trying to like I was saying earlier with how we write shit, we just let it happen. Same with the recording, just make it happen and let it.
Instead of being like, what's the sickest fucking album name we can think of, like it's a much more organic way, and I think that's cool. It's really cool to hear. Well, again, thank you guys so much for being on. Check them out on Instagram. I'll have a link down to the page on the podcast. This has been awesome. Check out Nemesis. Fucking awesome kick-ass thrash metal. I'm Brandon Battick, and this has been Disturbing the Priest.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.